Hello again, everybody. Here we are working on our 1968 Mercedes Benz 230. We have some issues with one of our front carburetors here. Actually, three issues. This is the middle section of the carburetor, actually. I took it apart, took it off, and we're going to be putting it back together, but I had to get a few issues repaired. Like, for example, this fuel inlet, got stripped out. Actually, the aluminum here got stripped out, and we had to have it rethreaded and put a time start in here. Also, the fuel return valve was leaking. It was just dumping fuel out the bottom here, and there's a little needle and a diaphragm in here. If you remove this, it comes in about 3 sections, so you can remove this, and this little needle wasn't working. Now it's working good. So we had that rebuilt. The diaphragm, it's like a little diaphragm up here, and also my float kept sticking, and the gentleman who repaired it actually found out that something was wrong with the float, and it's much better now. It just kept getting hung up, and so we had those 3 done, and found this guy out in California, the Carburetor Refractory, and his name is Merrill. It looks like he did an awesome job on it. I'm so thankful that he could fix this up for us. But like I said, this is the middle section of the front Zenith carburetor on my 68 Mercedes Benz 230, and we're going to be putting it together, back together actually. Yeah, it goes right here. So next step is we're going to uncover the towel there and start putting it back together. So like I said, we have our Zenith carburetor here. Actually, this is the base of the carburetor. And when something goes wrong, like we had issues, like I said, with the fuel return valve, which is here, which plugs in here, and then the actual fuel line. So once the gas starts leaking, it's really a bad spot because the exhaust header is right here. So that could be really dangerous. I mean, you know, gas is dribbling out. Here's the exhaust header. You know, that's a good chance something's going to light on fire. So that's something pretty serious that you need to get fixed up right away. We're going to put that middle section of the carburetor that we took off. We're going to put a little gas in here, and then we're going to put the middle section back on. And there's a bunch of screws on top, and I'll show you that. So here's the underside of our float here, and here's the needle right here. See the needle right there. And I'm actually going to put some like Brasso polish on there because it's sticking a little bit from sitting. But this needle's supposed to, you know, come float in and out along with the float. So I want to really want to make sure that that's working properly before you put it all together, because it's underneath the float. So you want to do it now while you have a chance. So like I said, we have our Brasso here, and we're going to clean up this needle. We're just going to take a Q-tip and you know, polish this up a little bit here. I got to put some on there, but I just wanted to show you. So we're going to polish this up, and this will help this little needle here move more freely. And you know, the Brasso really works good for removing like oxidization on these components, metal components. But again, just got to take the Q-tip, put some on here, and then use a paper towel and polish it up a little bit, and that'll help remove a lot of oxidization on there and help it make that little needle move more freely. So I got that needle all polished up, and actually I'm going to put some seafoam on it as well. That helps lubricate some of the components, and you know, creates like a little thin layer on there, so that'll help it work out a little better too. I wanted to make a quick explanation of what goes in this hole here. This is the accelerator pump. It actually fell out when the repair guy was repairing the carburetor, and he forgot to send it back to me. But basically it goes in here like this, push it down in there, and you know, this little arm operates it, you know, against the gas pedal and everything like that. But I'm going to lubricate it good with some seafoam. Lubricate it with some seafoam, put it back in, and make sure it's working properly with this spring is working properly and everything. Okay, so there you have it. I put the accelerator pump back in. Basically put some seed foam on there to help lubricate it. See how it presses down on the spring in there. Now I'm going to get ready to mount the carburetor again. And again, we have 3 sections of the carburetor. This is the mid section. And as I explained before, this was really leaking bad. Made it actually tightened it too tight, and just never-ending leak, and could never tighten it again. So the gentleman that was rebuilding the carburetor put a heat cert in here, and hopefully it'll fix it up. And I also had this fuel return valve rebuilt too, because it was just dumping gas out the bottom. So he rebuilt that as well, and hopefully that'll be all good. Okay, we slid the middle section of the carburetor back on the base. It's pretty straightforward, just have to kind of wiggle it around the fuel return valve here. That's where it gets a little tricky. You also got to make sure that this rod is actually placed in at the same time, because there's like a little retaining clip on the bottom of it. So that's got to be placed in, and down at the bottom there's a little hole here that you have to insert it in as well. So basically this has 3 screws here up on top. One here, and one here that holds the middle section. And then we'll put the top section on, and that probably has, I think, about 8 to 10 bolts. But yeah, for now I'm going to screw in this middle section, and then we'll move our way on to the top section. Okay, as I mentioned, we got those 3 screws in, bolts in right here. They're flathead bolts right there. So now we're going to put this top section on. As you can see, all the bolts on the outside perimeter. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's about 8 of them. And then don't forget that one in the middle. That one, if you forget that one, it will never come off. So right now we're going to fit this on here and then bolt it down. Okay, so I put all these bolts up here on top. There's 8 of them, like I said, around the perimeter. And just keep tightening them up till they're nice, good and tight. And also the center one there. And also you have to feed this little rod, as I mentioned before, through the end of this choke lever valve here, butterfly valve. Then you got to tighten it up a little bit. So they're about the same. So that's pretty much it for securing the carburetor. And I forgot to mention, I added some gas to the float bowl before I put the top on, or the middle section, just to help with getting gas to the top of the carburetor. Just thought it'd make it easier. So next thing, we have to connect the gas line here, and then this fuel return line here. So really 2 more components. Then just gonna double check everything and see if we can start it up. Okay, so got the 2 hoses on. Tighten this one up here. Basically put wrench on here, open end wrench on here, just to hold it back, and open end wrench here. Tighten it up nice and tight. And then this was just a hose clamp. And basically ready to start it and see if everything works and no leaks. Put that heat sword in here, and it seems like that stopped the leaking. I don't feel anything under here. And then the fuel return valve was leaking as well. Let me start it up again.
a few weeks, probably about a month since it's been started, so let's have a look on the outside again. Gas is percolating through there. Like I said, it's been about like 4 weeks since it's been started. The worst spot ever because you have the exhaust manifold right here. If you have leaks out of here or leaks out of here, you're just waiting for an explosion here with the exhaust manifold right there. So you got a little bit of attention to that. It's good so far, so I'd say this is fixed. Now we can take a first spin. Well, folks, there you have it. Fixed it up. Now we can finally drive it after waiting weeks and weeks. I'm going to start it again just to see. Can't wait to get it back on the road.